Hey guys, Dan with Warpaint JKU. You want to learn about balance beads, you're going to want to stick around and check this out. Balance beads are an awesome way to balance an off-road tire. I've been using them for a really long time, but there is a right way to do it. There's definitely a number of wrong ways to do it. And if you don't do it the right way, you're not going to be happy with the result. So stick around, let's talk about balance beads. Check it out. To really truly understand how balance beads work and why they're such a benefit, you need to understand how wheel weights also work. When a tire is made from the factory, especially cheaper tires, I'm not saying these are, but if you buy a cheaper tire, you'll find that it takes a lot more weight to balance that tire. Same thing if you buy a cheaper wheel. More expensive wheels are made to a higher standard. More expensive tires are also made to a higher standard. So they're more balanced right off the bat. But when a tire shop mounts a tire on your wheel, there's always going to be a heavy spot in that tire. If you were to hold it up and somehow hold the center, kind of like a bicycle, and spin the tire, you would feel a heavy spot as it comes around. Now, and having that heavy spot when you're driving down the highway or driving down a road at a decent speed, you're going to start to feel it, and it's going to create some wobbles because your tire is not balanced correctly. Now, what they do is they put it in a machine, and as the machine spins the tire at a pretty decent rate of speed, they're able to calculate where the heavy spot in the tire and wheel combination are, and then stick weights opposite that to help balance it out. Now, there are a bunch of benefits to running balance beads inside your tire. We're going to talk about those in just a second. But the real benefit comes from being able to balance your tires yourself in your own garage. When you start running a bead lock specifically, bead locks are very labor intensive to install correctly. A lot of tire shops won't do it. Even some off-road shops won't do it. And when you find one that will, they charge you a lot of money for it. It's extremely labor intensive to get these bolts right here in the background torqued to the right torque spec in the right pattern to make sure you're spreading the load correctly over the tire. And it can absolutely take a lot of time. So being able to balance your own tires at home and install your own tires at home is a huge benefit to anybody in the off-road world. Stick around because there's going to be another video at a later time that's going to show you specifically how to unmount and mount a tire on a bead lock. But having balance beads is a huge advantage. But the main reason why on the internet that they don't have the best reviews, if you Google search it, right, and you do some research in all the forums and things like that. And again, I've mentioned it in other videos. I mean, the internet is an absolutely wonderful, fantastic place where you can research and learn pretty much anything. The problem with the internet is that for every little piece of good information, there's 10 pieces of bad information. And when you're not knowledgeable about any subject that you're looking up, it's hard to go against what the majority of the people on the internet are saying. But there's two main reasons why people say that balance beads don't work. And if you look at those forums, you'll find, or you ask the right questions, you'll find that those people complaining, usually they're guilty of one of these two things, or sometimes both. So number one, the most absolute common is people don't use balance beads. They actually use airsoft pellets. Now, anyone that knows about an airsoft pellet or don't know what those are, airsoft is it's kind of like a BB gun, but they're little plastic balls essentially that you can shoot out of this BB gun, and people, you use them as toys and target practice and whatever. Here's the deal though. Airsoft pellets are way larger than ceramic balance beads, okay? The other problem with airsoft pellets, and we'll talk about why size is a problem in just a second, but the other problem, and it's more commonly a problem with airsoft pellets, is that they hold on to moisture. Now, when you've put air inside of a tire, it's got humidity in that air. So I'm not talking about filling your tire with water. I'm not talking about driving in the rain and somehow the water making its way in there. I'm just talking about the air that's in your tire. And if you have air in your tire, it has humidity in it. And then with temperature changes and things outside, you wind up getting sometimes condensation. Well, what happens with that is it causes those airsoft pellets to clump together, and then they don't work because they don't spread around the tire evenly, and they have a hard time finding where they're supposed to go. Now, here comes the size issue with airsoft pellets. Airsoft pellets are about the size of like the peas your mom made you eat as a kid off your plate and you hated it. They're about the size of a pea. So the problem with an airsoft pellet is not only are they too big, but they're also very light. So in order to get enough weight, and we're talking ounces, but in order to pack enough ounces of airsoft pellets into a small enough area in the tire to actually balance it correctly, it's just impossible. You can't do it. And then you throw the humidity issue in on top of it, and they just never work. So if you're the one guy, all right, because I'm sure there's going to be that guy in the comments. We've all read them, right? There's always a guy. If you're the guy that's like, man, I used airsoft pellets, they're great. You're the only person in the history of the internet to actually have them work. Congratulations. Because every other person that you talk about, that you hear talk, that badmouths balance beads, if you ask them the right question, you say, well, what did you use? Did you use airsoft pellets or actual balance beads? 9 times out of 10, oh, I used airsoft pellets. Great. Wonder why they didn't work. So here's the deal. That's the first part of it. The second part, the second thing that everybody has an issue with is they don't use enough of them, okay? Now, the rule of thumb, all right, is you're supposed to use 1 ounce of pellets for every 13 pounds of weight in your tire. You can go to any tire manufacturer's website, any of the big tire sales companies on the internet, and you can look up your tire in your size and find out what the weight is. Do the math, figure it out, you know how many ounces. Now, I like to run a few more ounces than what's recommended because here's the thing. You almost can't run too much balance beads, too many balance beads in your tire because they're going to go where they need to go to counter the heavy spot, right? They're going to find that light spot in the tire. They're going to pack themselves in there because they're really tiny, and you're going to be able to balance your tire. And then the extra ones that it doesn't need in that area are just going to spread themselves out evenly over the inside of the tire, and you're good to go. So I like to throw an extra few ounces in there. And in doing so, guys, I mean, you know, there's proof. You've seen it in this video. And the proof of this, you know, is that my tires stay balanced. I have no wobbles. I have no issues. I have no shimmies in my steering wheel. It is absolutely perfect over the entire life of the tire. I don't care if I'm doing 30 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour. Okay. They work great. So again, use the right stuff. Okay. Invest in them. Now I know airsoft pellets are a little bit cheaper and the ceramic, you know, actual balance beads, they're a little bit more expensive, but if you want them to work and you want to be able to do it yourself and you want to be able to reuse those balance beads on your next set of tires, then buy balance beads. Stop buying cheap garbage crap and expecting it to work well in something like your tire. It's just not going to do it. Airsoft pellets were never designed to be balance beads. They were designed to be shot out of toy guns at your friends in your backyard. Have fun. Go do that with your airsoft pellets. Don't stick them in your tire. You would never use actual balance beads in your airsoft gun, so stop using airsoft pellets in your tires. Don't worry. Most of us that off-road on rocks or mud or sand, we all run mud tires. Heck, there's a lot of people that just go to the mall and they run mud tires. But the bottom line is mud tires have a very, very soft rubber compound. So much so that you have to rotate them very often and things like that. But sometimes life gets in the way. When you're off-roading, a lot of the time you can actually chunk and rip little pieces of rubber out of the lugs on your tire. Well, unfortunately, what that does is it changes where the heavy spot is located in your tire. So when it was new and you had it balanced maybe at a shop and they stuck wheel weights on it, they were able to do that and counter the heavy spot in the tire. But the problem with that is as that tire wears unevenly because life got in the way, you didn't rotate it as often as you maybe should have, or maybe you went off-roading and you ripped some chunks of rubber out of your tire, all those things are going to change where that heavy spot is. The benefit of running balance beads is that every single time you come to a stop, whether it's at the end of your driveway, at a stop sign, a traffic light, it does not matter. All of those beads fall with gravity to the bottom of the tire. And then as you start rolling, all those beads start finding with centrifugal force where they need to be. And they are automatically going to go to the light spot inside the tire. So they're going to counter that heavy spot, and they're going to make sure that your tire remains balanced. I personally feel like balance beads are the way to go. I have ran them on many sets of tires. I've never had a bad result. As you can see in this video right here. All right, guys, so here we are accelerating up to about 40 miles an hour. And this is where sometimes people, if they don't do it exactly correctly, they can get a little bit of a wobble or a shimmy in the front end. But if you can yank out that speedometer, 40, 45 miles an hour where that shimmy would be, and I'm gonna let go of the steering wheel here, and it is smooth as glass. There are no issues at all. Worked perfect, right? 40, 50 miles an hour, cruising down the road, smooth as glass, not even a shimmy in the steering wheel. Those tires are completely balanced. Balance beads cost a little bit of money. They're actually gonna cost you to do it right, probably about the same cost that it would cost you to bring your tires to a shop and have somebody balance them, okay? Usually, I don't know, $60, $70, at least when I last did it. Who knows with inflation, right? But guys, here's the benefit. Like we've said in all the other benefits, right? They're always gonna be balanced, it'll be perfect, great. The other benefit is once you put them in your tire, they're not garbage. When it's time to get a new set of tires, especially if you have bead locks and you're gonna unmount them and remount them yourself, you can take those balance beads out and put them back in the new tires. You don't need to buy them again. So it's a one-time cost. Now, little quick life hack here for you guys that wanna take your balance beads out. The best way that I have found, because again, you saw how small it was, right?
See, if you can see that little white dot right there on good old Abe Lincoln's head, that white dot is one balance bead.
Found to remove all those balance beads and lose as few of them as possible, shop vac. But get a dedicated shop vac, because if it's a shop vac that you're using to suck up water and dirt out of your rig and that kind of stuff, you're never going to get the inside of that shop vac perfectly clean, and you don't want to be dumping contaminants into the new tire. You just want to be making sure that you get the balance beads into the new tire, okay? So I bought a tiny 2.5 gallon little shop vac on Amazon. It was not expensive. I use that when I take the wheel out. I suck out all the old balance beads into it. I remount the new tire on the wheel, and then I open the shop vac and I dump them in. But be careful, because what I have found is when you open this shop vac, those little balance beads are going to be statically charged. They are shooting around inside this shop vac like crazy, okay? So what I've actually done is taken static guard, you know, the stuff like your mom used to spray on your clothes when you were 5 years old on your way to like kindergarten for picture day, that stuff. You're going to take that, just do a quick spray inside the shop vac on them, and they all just fall to the bottom dead. Like it just removes all the static electricity instantly, and you're much easier able to pour them into the tire without them shooting all over the place and losing them, okay? So again, couple short little life hacks, nothing crazy, but again, cheap, dedicated shop vac. Doesn't have to be that strong. You're not sucking up dirt. You're not sucking up water. Who cares? Cheap, easy, low power, small shop vac to suck up, 15 ounces of those suckers out of your tire, and then you just dump them back into the new tire. All right, guys. So there you have it. All right. Balance beads. Highly, highly, highly recommend them. And stick around, because if you want to know how to mount your tire on a bead lock and do it yourself in your garage so that it's all balanced and done perfectly, definitely stick around. Those videos are coming. Check it out.